Welcome, welcome, welcome to Sleep for Your Health. Okay, so we're going to go to sleep. No, we're not going to go to sleep in this webinar. We're going to talk about sleep in this webinar. I'm really excited about being able to spend this time with you talking about sleep. Now, no yawning is allowed, just got to let you know. All right, so because once one person yawns, everybody starts after that. It just happens. So we got lots that we're going to cover today. I'm so glad that you're here. This is such an important topic. It really, really is. I got into bad habits in medical school and probably actually in college. I got into bad habits when it came to sleep because I pulled all-nighters. Anybody here ever do an all-nighter? Raise your hand, tell the truth, stay in church. All right, so the thing is, I pulled all-nighters. Not a good habit when it comes to your sleep, and there's no way to recover that lost sleep, I gotta tell you. So sleep is a major, major, major part of lifestyle medicine. So we're going to dive into lots of good material. Now, if you're new to being to one of my webinars, if you've never been with me personally or in a seminar before, type in the chat bar. The chat window is open, so you can type in new. That's just to communicate with me. Go ahead and type in new. If you're from someplace outside of California or somewhere further than Sacramento, type in where you're from too, because we'd like to welcome you from out of state. And sometimes last time we had somebody from Norway, I think it was. So it was really cool. So if you're from someplace far away, please be willing. Long Island, Mark, that's awesome. Okay, Jody from Napa, that's great. Okay, that's awesome. Thank you for being here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So April is new, and I know she's from Kentucky, right? Kentucky. Okay. And all right, very good. Very, very good. All right, so let's see. Anybody else? If you're new, feel free to share. And then if you want to ask questions over the course of the webinar, go ahead and type it in. Oh, there you go. So type it into your chat window, type it in, and then I will get to all your questions at the end. I promise you, I will. I will absolutely do it. I won't check the chat window because I'm just one of those super focused people. So I don't tend to do that during the course of the webinar. So I won't be able to see your questions during the time that we're talking and I'm delivering the information. I've muted you all, so you're all automatically on mute. When I get done, then we can unmute yourself and then you can ask your questions perfectly fine. And we'll go to work on those kinds of things. I've got lots of material to share with you. Oh, and if you've been with me before in this topic, I've got new updated material, lots of great resources. And in addition, just to let you know, because you're here as my free gift to you, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you an email after this is over, probably by tonight, and I will send you an email with the link to the recording of this webinar. You'll get all the PowerPoint slides as well. You'll get a link to all of that. In addition, you're going to get all the resources that I mentioned in the course of this webinar. I'm going to give you links to TED Talks by brilliant people, amazing information. I'm going to give you references to books, all kinds of things, everything that I do. I'm going to tell you everything. And why am I doing this? This is crazy. Why is somebody like me giving all this stuff away for free? It's because I'm passionate. I'm totally passionate about eliminating chronic disease from the face of the planet and empowering every single human being to live a thriving, healthy life. And that's why I'm doing this. I believe in paying it forward. I've got 4 children myself, 4 boys, 34, 29, 22, and 20. And it's important to me as an adult to leave a legacy for the future generations to come. So that's why I do all this. So thank you for being here. My request will be, and I'll state it again later, is that you share this information widely because you may actually save some lives. You really might. And it can make that much of a difference. So thank you again. All right, so now let's get started. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shift over to my PowerPoint. So I'm going to make a couple of adjustments here. So bear with me for a couple of seconds. All right. And then, okay, let's see here. From the beginning. Click, click, click. I go click, click. I've learned to become fairly versatile in being able to do this. Let's see here. Share screen, click, and this, click, and then share, and we are live. Okay, very good. All right, so sleep for your health. I love this picture. I just love this picture. All right, so one of my favorites. And then my name, Ruben J. Guzman, MPH does not stand for the speed that I drive my car. Okay, so it stands for Masters in Public Health. And I got that degree from UCLA back in 1988. And I specialized in behavioral sciences and health promotion, health education. Loved my program. And when I got done, I realized that I had a very important decision to make. Do I or do I not go back to UC Davis School of Medicine to complete my training in becoming a physician? My independent research is what led me to take a break from medical school and to finish my master's. And I realized in 1988, when I finished my master's, that I was no longer interested in treating disease, that I was completely and fully passionate about promoting health and preventing disease. So I made a bold decision to study lifestyle medicine on my own. Now, there was nothing called lifestyle medicine back then. It didn't exist. I was ahead of my time. But I started studying from people like T. Colin Campbell, Dr. John McDougall, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, Dr. Neil Barnard, and a whole bunch of others. And so in 2016, I went to a nutrition in healthcare conference. And at that conference, they announced the existence of a new branch of medicine. And I was so shocked. I had never heard of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, the newest branch of medicine, an evidence-based approach to prevent, reverse, and treat chronic disease using lifestyle measures of nutrition, physical activity, emotional well-being, alcohol and tobacco reduction, healthy relationships, hydration, and sleep, as opposed to medications. And guess what? We can do a better job. Wow, I was so excited. I checked out the website, signed up immediately, went to my first lifestyle medicine conference in October 2017 in Tucson, Arizona. And I thought I died and gone to heaven. It was amazing. I met over 1,200 health professionals from 38 different countries, and it was extraordinary. I was so elated, ecstatic, and happy. It was amazing. We're all on the same wavelength. And they also announced the opening of a board certification opportunity for physicians, MDs, and DOs, but also for professionals constituting based on PhDs and also those with a master's in a health-related field. Oh, that's me. So I signed up immediately, studied for a whole year. And in October 2018, I went to my second lifestyle medicine conference in Indianapolis. And after the conference, I took and passed my exam. So I am one of just a handful, really. I mean, there's very, very few of us. My certificate actually says number 81. All right. So there's very, very few lifestyle medicine professionals and lifestyle medicine physicians. And so I'm so proud. I am so, so proud and ecstatic to be part of this family. I found my tribe after 30 years. And it's just extraordinary. So I love it. In addition, I'm also a member of the Institute of Coaching out of Harvard Medical School. So I'm just so excited to be part of this extraordinary group of professionals. So I get to live into this quote that Thomas Edison said well over 100 years ago, that the doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will instruct his patient in the care of the human frame, in diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease. Doesn't that make sense? It certainly does to me. And that's what I get to do each and every day. I also want to let you know that I have absolutely zero, zilch, nada, no conflicts of interest whatsoever. I have no products. I have no powders to sell you. I have no incantations, no weird stuff. Okay, so all of this is for free. because as I said before, I believe in the power of paying it forward. I really am passionate about that. So that's why I do this. And I believe that Virgil was correct when he said that the greatest wealth that any of us can have is our health. And I think that's absolutely correct. So here's what we're going to cover today. We got lots that we're going to go through, lots and lots and lots. So first of all, I want to briefly go through some of the epidemiological statistics, the pattern of disease as it relates to sleep. And then we want to talk about the fundamental context that determines our health and how sleep affects this system. Then I'm going to share with you research on sleep from 3 brilliant people. So I got 3 brilliant people that I'm going to share their information with you. Absolutely wonderful. And then we'll talk about strategies and actions that you can start to take to manage your sleep more effectively. There's lots going on in this field. There's tons of information. I can only share with you what I can share with you in about 2 hours. So that's it. And then we'll talk about how you can actually create a thriving, healthy lifestyle change and make the rest of your life the best of your life. So let's get started. We've got lots to go through. And I want to also let you know that I do not in any way, shape, or form claim to be the all-knowing expert. I know there are people who do. You know who they are. That's not me. All right. So I am a humble student. I learn all the time. I am passionate about learning. I love to learn and I love to share what I've learned. So I'm happy to share what I've learned. And there's lots of experts out there, but that's not me. Okay. So I'm going to just share what I've learned. I've got lots of coaches, lots of teachers, and one of my coaches has some words of wisdom to impart to you. So I will invoke his spirit here right now. You must unlearn what you have learned. So I'm hoping you're willing to have an open mind, as Yoda is suggesting. All right, so now let's look at the data for a second. Very, very interesting. So I love looking at data, good data, and being able to really evaluate it. So when we look at sleep deprivation, prevalence of short sleep, less than 7 hours, okay, less than 7 hours is not good. For adults 18 and over, here's what we see. All right, the southeast portion of the United States. All right, April, there's Kentucky. All right, there's Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama. All right, we're in trouble in the southeast portion of the United States. People are not sleeping there and they're not sleeping in Las Vegas. Okay, so the thing is, people are not sleeping. We've got a lot of sleep deprivation all over the United States, but in particular, the southeast portion of the United States. So my question as a researcher was, how does this relate to the prevalence of chronic disease? Because chronic disease is a real serious problem here in the United States. We are one of the leaders in chronic disease in the world. So if we look at the data, heart disease, cancer, intentional injuries, chronic respiratory diseases, but we see like heart disease and cancer, that takes up almost half right there. And then it's amazing how much chronic disease we actually have in this country. So there's a lot. So what is the pattern of these chronic diseases relative to the pattern of sleep? All right, so let's look at that. So let's look at the number 1 killer. So that's heart disease. Here's the pattern of heart disease mortality in the United States. Notice the similarity. Here we are again, the southeast portion of the United States, socked in with mortality from cardiovascular disease. All right, what about the number 2 killer? We've got cancer. All right, cancer, again, the southeast portion of the United States, we see that socked in again as far as mortality from cancer. What about strokes? This one shocked me. This one shocked me. Strokes, look at this, the widespread area in the southeast portion of the United States, and there are pockets everywhere. All right, Alzheimer's, we're gathering more data all along. The new charts should be out soon, hopefully. But we see again, the southeast portion of the United States, another major component to that. All right, let's look at diabetes. Incidence of diabetes, again, the southeast portion of the United States is widespread as far as diabetes. All right, now mortality. Now, when I saw this next chart, the lowest life expectancy by state, the 10 states with the lowest life expectancy happen to be all geographically next to each other. Are you kidding me? Like, wow. Now, if you have any background in statistics whatsoever, you know this is absolutely statistically significant. And in case you forgot your geography, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia. Yes, there will be a test question at the end. Okay, so here's the deal. It's related to lifestyle. It absolutely is. It has to be. So let's look at lifestyle. Let's look at physical inactivity. Well, people are, oh, this is food. Oh, this is food. People are eating far too much Kentucky Fried Chicken. Yes, they are. All right, too much fried food. Yes, as you can see, oh, the southeast portion of the United States, people are not sleeping and they're eating way too much fried food. Okay, how about physical inactivity? Here we have the chart from the CDC, and we see people are not moving here either. All right, they're not active, they're not physically active. All right, what about stress? All right, I was shocked when I saw this graph. Frequent mental distress, all right, through the southeast portion of the United States. Oh my God, there's Kentucky, West Virginia, Mississippi. Oh my God, look at that. And then Fresno. And if you're from there, you know why. All right, and then there's also divorce rates. Isn't this shocking? Like divorce rates, relationships, poor relationships, also in the southeast portion of the United States. All right. Now, I've been there, and I've been in the southeast portion of the United States. And here's what my friend, Dr. Stephen Loam, talks about. He says that there are 5 major factors that keep us as Americans sick in chronic disease. Number 1, we've got far too much stress. Far too much stress. And when we're in the state of stress, our brain is wired to do 3 things really well: seek pleasure, avoid pain, and conserve energy. That's what we do when we're under stress. Our brain is wired to do that. Another factor that keeps us sick, it's our family patterns of behaviors. A lot of people mistakenly think, oh, diabetes runs in my family, I'm doomed to get it. Oh, heart disease runs in my family, I'm doomed to get it. Nothing could be further from the truth. What runs in your family are the family practices and behaviors of eating the same kinds of foods, not being physically active, whatever the case may be. All those family behaviors run in your family. Another factor that keeps us sick is the food industry. The food industry. I mean, take a good look. Have the food industry really put your health as their number 1 priority? I don't think so. They're focused on one thing and one thing only, and that's profits. Another factor that keeps us sick is our government. Yes, at all levels, at all levels. I mean, government does not put public health as a priority. I can attest to this. All right, I was appointed by the Sacramento County Public Health Board of Supervisors to serve on the Public Health Advisory Commission. Let me tell you where we stood on the agenda: dead last. Okay, all the time. So we've seen this past year because we've clearly seen that public health was not the priority, the economy was. And another factor that keeps us sick is the medical industry itself. Now, here's the reality, my friends, and I can tell you because I've been inside the belly of the beast. The medical industry is focused on pharmaceutical drugs. That's the focus. It's interesting. After finishing the first 2 years of medical school in the medical sciences curriculum, medical students take the board exam. Now, for us, we studied that for that. There are about 65 questions on pharmaceutical drugs. You want to know how many questions there were on nutrition? One. What is the most common source of vitamin D? The answer is milk. Are you kidding me? Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It was a ridiculous setup. So there was nothing to really empower or train physicians to be knowledgeable about how to empower people with their health and lifestyle. So lifestyle medicine has emerged, and it's so exciting to me. As Dr. Wayne Dysinger says, he's one of the co-founders, and he says that lifestyle medicine is the foundation of real healthcare. because 80% of healthcare right now is chronic disease. 80% of chronic disease is lifestyle. So if the disease is caused by lifestyle, the foundation ought to be a lifestyle treatment. Doesn't that make sense? It does to me. So how do we do that? To address that, we need to understand the context or the framework of how we actually function as human beings and how we actually can be healthy. The context begins by understanding this simple but powerful quote from my dear professor, Dr. Michael Kalitsky, in undergraduate, and it was a comparative anatomy and physiology class that I was taking with him. And he said this: remember that everything, all of life is in one of two states at any given moment. Either it is surviving or it is thriving, and that's all there is. And he said it like that, which was rather alarming to me. And I raised my hand. I said, Dr. Kalitsky, are you saying it's just one or the other? He said, Ruben, that's exactly what I just said. And I raised my hand again. I said, I'm thinking there's got to be a bell-shaped distribution curve to this. I just finished taking statistics. And he said, no, it's one or the other. And I raised my hand again. I said, Dr. Kalitsky, I'm not getting it. And he said these famous words that he said to me quite a few times. He said, sit with it, Ruben, you'll figure it out. Okay, so I sat with it and sat with it and I sat with it for 3 years. 3 years. I'm in my first year of medical school at UC Davis taking a class called embryology, which is this fascinating course of the embryonic period of human development, from the moment of conception to the point where everything is there. And then after that, we call it a fetus. So if you're a mother, you know this really well because it corresponds with the first trimester. And you know what that's like for you, right? You just know. And if you're a father, you may remember this as well, because this is when she was asking you for pickles and ice cream at 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so the thing is, it's a crazy time. It's amazing. And early on in our development, we all look like this, a ball of cells, and you can't tell one from the other. They all look the same. So this stage, we call it the blastomere. But then we start to have more and more cells, gets bigger and bigger, and then it starts to fold inward. And then the first thing that starts to happen, it starts to form a tube of cells. This tube of cells will become the first organ system of the body to become distinguished and to become operational. Now, a lot of people think it could be the gut or it could be the heart, all kinds of things, but surprise, it's what we call the neural tube. So the neural tube gives rise to what we call the limbic brain, or the central portion of the brain. So this is the hippocampus, the hypothalamus, the thalamus, the pituitary, all of those central features of the brain. And it's all connected to the spinal cord. Now, what the professor said was that this becomes the electrical system of the body. It runs the body. And it's an electrical system that has two currents, just like any basic electrical current. You got a positive current and a negative current. So the positive current of this electrical system is what we refer to as the parasympathetic branch. Now, the parasympathetic branch, when it is on, it's going to affect every organ system in the body and every cell in the body, including the brain itself. This is very important to understand when it comes to how we improve our sleep. So when we're in the parasympathetic state, it's going to affect every part of our body, including our brain. And so this is how it operates. So it's the parasympathetic state. Now, when we are in the negative current, that is the sympathetic branch of the central nervous system. When we are in the sympathetic state, it's going to affect every organ system in the body, every cell in the body, in the opposite way. These two systems are polar opposite of each other. Now, what the professor said was this, and got my attention. Once this system is turned on, it's on, and it's on 24/7 for the rest of our lives till the day we die. Now, it is on all the time. And this is what he said that got my attention. He said, we are operating either in the parasympathetic state or in the sympathetic state at any given moment. We can go back and forth between the two, but we operate in only one state or the other. I got the or from Dr. Kalitsky, that we're either surviving in the sympathetic state or thriving in the parasympathetic state. And that's all there is. Now, this is profound. This is profound to understand. It really is. Now, every healthcare professional learns this too, but then they forget it after board exams. So the thing is, we are either operating in the sympathetic state, which is triggered by stress of any kind, physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual stress. Now, spiritual, I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about sense of purpose, motivation, and drive. Okay, so physical, emotional, mental, spiritual stress is enough to trigger the sympathetic. Guess what? Does this affect our sleep? You better believe it. You better believe it. We're in the state of survival. We're operating from a very primal state, being on alert, alarm. Okay, be on the lookout. Okay, there's a tiger coming. So we're operating in that sympathetic state. Now we may recognize fight, flight, freeze, or fold as reactions, but even so much as a perceived threat, it could be very subtle. That's enough to put us in the state of the sympathetic. It's fear. What we see in the literature is clear that the common thread of all chronic dis-ease is being in the state of dis-ease far too much. Far too much. And this absolutely will affect our sleep. It absolutely will. So what we have to be able to do, and what lifestyle medicine is committed to, is fundamentally being able to empower you to shift from being in the sympathetic state far too much to being in the parasympathetic more of the time. Doesn't that look better and more inviting? I mean, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, so our body in the parasympathetic state, wow, peace, pleasure, restoration, digestion, fun, play, and ease, sleep, okay, thriving. Our body is healing itself. It's really important. And we experience life from a very powerful space. It's wonderful. So that's what lifestyle medicine is all about. So I said that there are 5 major elements that we have total control over that influence our central nervous system state. We have total control over these. I have a whole webinar on this, the 5 secrets to living a thriving, healthy, happy life. So be sure to check that out. So I'll give you the 5 elements in a nutshell. Number 1 are the thoughts that we think. Our thoughts are powerful. Oh my, because if we've got stinking thinking, then we're going to be in the sympathetic state. If we use the power of positive thinking, then we'll be in the parasympathetic state. We get to choose. The second is the words that we speak, because words are powerful and they follow with our thoughts. So if we're critical, cynical, skeptical, if we're being negative, if we're gossiping, or if we're complaining, okay, then we're going to be in the sympathetic state. By the way, I'm going to throw out a challenge to all of you. You want to improve your sleep? Eliminate complaining about anything for 30 days in a row. If you get to day 29 and complain, you start over. If it takes you the rest of your life to get to day 30, it will have been a life well lived. All right, so we got to stop that. Stop the complaining. And we've got to practice uplifting, positive, encouraging, and supportive words. And it's not only the words that we speak, but it's also the words that we listen to. So as a result, I have not watched the news in 38 years. Okay, don't watch it. Okay, just don't. I get information that I need to know. Trust me, it's easy to find. The thing is, I don't watch the news. Third secret, actions that we take, okay? So the actions that we take, because actions speak louder than words, don't they? So if we are inconsistent with what we say, if we say one thing and do another, then we're out of integrity with ourselves. And we know that. We know it. We say we're going to start an exercise program at 6 o'clock a.m. on Monday morning. And 6 o'clock a.m. Monday morning, the alarm clock goes off and you hit the snooze button, immediately going into the sympathetic state. So we got to be consistent with what we say and walk our talk. The fourth secret is the company we keep. Oh my goodness, this is so powerful. We have more research on this than ever before because yes, we are the average of the 5 people we most associate with, but it even goes beyond that. There's research showing that we are affected by the 5 people we associate with and the friends of those 5 people and the friends of those friends. So it's really powerful when we start to look at our associations. So we may have to do a peopleectomy or two. It's okay. It doesn't mean you stop loving them. It means that you love them from further afar. And that's okay. And you build up that inner circle of friends. And then the 5th secret is the food that we eat. We're going to talk more about this later because it's powerful. Everything affects our central nervous system. Most people never think that food affects their central nervous system, but it does. It affects us neurologically, and you better believe it affects your sleep. It absolutely does. So we're going to talk more about that later. Now, lifestyle medicine is committed to these 7 areas: hydration, nutrition, physical activity, harmful substance reduction, sleep is a whole category just on sleep, emotional well-being and stress management, and healthy relationships. Now that we've laid the foundation, now let's dive into understanding more about sleep itself. So what we show in the research, lots of statistics on this. So the average person in the United States is right now sleeping just under 7 hours. 20% average less than 6 hours a night. 37% of young adults are getting less than 7 hours. That's alarming because they need plenty of sleep, young adults. 60 million people report difficulty sleeping, only 10% seek treatment. What we see prevalent in the workplace is a concept of what's called presenteeism. Now, it's been really different this last year, of course, because of COVID. But prior to that, we were seeing a lot of presenteeism, which means that people are physically there, but they're mentally not because there's a lot of sleep deprivation. And this leads to a higher risk of disability as well. What we show from a business standpoint, a workplace, organizational standpoint, in terms of, this is from Bank One, so we see that medical costs, we see medical and pharmaceutical costs, 24% of the direct medical cost to organizations. But I want to show you this. Presenteeism is responsible for 63% of the medical costs in organizations. That's alarming. That's alarming. So every employer, by the way, should be in this webinar. They should be getting this because this is so important. They need to be encouraging excellent sleep with their employees. It's really important. Now, the side effects of missing sleep, are so numerous, so numerous. Irritability, cognitive impairment, memory lapses or loss, impaired moral judgment, decreased creativity, increased stress, symptoms similar to ADHD, impaired immune system, increased heart rate variability, risk of heart disease and stroke, increased reaction time, decreased accuracy, tremors, and aches. Oh my God. Is any of that good? I don't think so. I don't think so. So there's a lot of problems with this. And this correlates with many chronic disease issues, many increased body mass index, increased obesity, which also is an underlying factor for many chronic diseases, increased cardiovascular disease mortality, increased cancer, type 2 diabetes, risk of Alzheimer's, mental stress and disorders. It all adds up. So you see every bit of sleep really makes a difference for every condition, it really does. We show in the research, in fact, we have this research now for almost all the different conditions, cardiovascular disease, diabetes. This one is just on diabetes. So the relative risk of type 2 diabetes relative to sleep duration. And what we show is that the lowest relative risk is in this area between 7 to 8, 8.5, 8.25 hours. So this is the area of the lowest relative risk of developing type 2 diabetes. So if it's too short or if it's too long, we see the relative risk going up. So very interesting to know. So we want to be able to sleep in that sweet spot. We need to be able to get restorative sleep for many reasons. And we need about 7 to 8 hours, generally speaking, for most adults in order to detoxify our brain. Because in the process of sleep, we build up toxins. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Water and sleep are also very important for the detox process. And then in the process of sleep, we'll talk about a little bit more about how this happens, but memories are consolidated in our deep sleep cycle. And this was shocking when I learned this, that sleep apnea, people with sleep apnea have an increased risk of Alzheimer's by 70%. Yikes. Yikes. All right, that's significant because I know a lot of people have sleep apnea. So now I'm going to share with you some information that I was able to glean from 3 really brilliant researchers. One of them is Dr. Matthew Walker. He is absolutely brilliant. He's a scientist and professor of neuroscience and psychology at the University of California in Berkeley. His research focuses on the impact of sleep on human health and disease, and previously he was at Harvard Medical School. This is his book, Why We Sleep. Absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to send you his TED Talk, and during COVID, what he started to do with all these short videos related to sleep. So I'm going to send you links to all of those. They are fantastic. Really great stuff. Now, he came across this very interesting research that he presented and he talked about in his TED Talk, and it was very fascinating. It's very fascinating when we look at the data. So in the world, there's about, let's see, 70 countries that participate in daylight savings time. Did you know that? And so that's about almost 2 billion people worldwide participate in daylight savings time. So twice a year, we have changes in the clock. So in the spring, we spring forward. And what do? What happens to our time? We lose an hour of sleep. All right, we lose an hour of sleep. And in the fall, we fall back and we regain that hour. All right, so but what's interesting is this, that in the spring, the next day, we see a 24% increase in heart attacks the following day, also increases in car crashes and suicides the next day. That's shocking. And the emergency room departments know this, the hospitals know this, the fire departments know this. This is what happens every year, and that's coming up next Sunday. Next Sunday. Now in the fall, when we fall back into standard time, we have a 21% decrease in heart attacks. That's easy, right? We like that. So by the way, here's my little tip. I'm just going to give you this tip right now. That's why I wanted to do this webinar today. Between today and next Sunday, start going to sleep 10 minutes earlier each day and waking up 10 minutes earlier each day. So you just go march it back by 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. And then when next Sunday comes around, you will have already adjusted that hour. Make sense? The clock is starting. So start tonight. All right, go to sleep earlier, 10 minutes earlier tonight. Set yourself up so that you can march back gradually rather than have that sudden change in time. It will make a huge difference. So start making that adjustment. Okay, now what also Dr. Walker was able to show in the data is that when we have no sleep compared to sleep, people learn, there's a 40% drop in learning. That's significant. So I realized that all that cramming didn't do me any good. Oh, goodness. Oh, and we also know in the hippocampus, now the hippocampus is real important for so many different functions as far as being able to learn new things and to integrate new information. So when we have new sleep, our brain activity actually diminishes, okay? Whereas when we have sleep, we have a very active hippocampus. So it's a reward center. We're doing many good things and integrating new information. In fact, the place that we build new brain cells is in the hippocampus. That's where we want to be able to do that. Another thing that's really alarming is that if we don't get enough sleep, it affects us in our ability to kill cancer cells or cells that actually have abnormal DNA. So one of the things that happens in our body is that cells are they're replicating all the time, and sometimes there is an unnatural or basically a genetic mutation that occurs. Now what we have are these natural killer cells, and what these natural killer cells do is they go around and they purge those cancer cells or those abnormal cells. They purge them. We've got them floating around all the time. We're always producing cancer cells, always. And so these natural killer cells with a strong immune system is going to go around and it's going to be like a vacuum cleaner and suck those things up and kill them off. Now, with 4 hours of sleep, what we showed in the research was a 70% drop. 70% drop in the natural killer cells functioning in the bloodstream and in the body. That's alarming. That's alarming. So when we cut ourselves off from sleep, we increase the risk of cancer development taking hold. In addition, what we also show as far as the immune system functioning and tumor promotion, inflammation, cardiovascular disease. So we see genetic modifications occur just with sleep. So 6 hours of sleep for 1 week, what we saw in the DNA is that there were just about a little over 600 genes that were modified, suppressing immune function, increasing tumor promotion, inflammation, and cardiovascular disease. And that's 6 hours. That's 6 hours of sleep for 1 week. So significant changes occur. Now, Dr. Russell Foster is my second scientist that I'm going to share with you, and he is a specialist in studying the circadian rhythm. So how our circadian rhythm affects our body. He wrote this book, Circadian Rhythms, and he's the head of Sleep and Circadian Neuroscience Institute. Very, very brilliant. He's also very artistic. I love his slides. So he talks about that if you were to live to about the age of 90, you would spend approximately 32 years asleep. Isn't that amazing? 32 years out of the age. I know I'm going to get past 90, so that's a lot of sleep. That's really a lot of sleep. Now, it used to be, I mean, Shakespeare even wrote that we should enjoy the honey-heavy dew of slumber. Isn't that romantic? I mean, it's really wonderful. All right, so enjoy the honey-heavy dew of slumber. Wow, okay. But along time, as time went on, you know, what happened is that people started to poo-poo sleep. All right, so in fact, Margaret Thatcher is quoted as saying, "Sleep is for wimps." All right, so the thing is, people are chasing money, they're chasing their goals, they're chasing all kinds of things, and they're sleeping less, sleeping less, sleeping less. I mean, I've seen this in so many different aspects. For instance, in the country of Japan, so many people are sleep deprived because they're so the stress amount that they have from work is tremendous. And we see that in the United States. We see that all over the place. Now, there are effects of this. If we look at our brain, there's a particular portion of our brain called the hypothalamus. Now, this is part of the limbic brain that I talked about in the beginning. This is part of what gets established right in the beginning from that neural tube. So the hypothalamus is basically where we have our clock. So our natural clock that basically sets up our circadian rhythm. This has to function properly. And when we pay attention to it, we naturally wake up at the right time, the usual time, and we go to sleep at the usual time. There's a natural rhythm that we can have. Now, what happens for us is that we need to be able to get sufficient sleep and pay attention to this circadian rhythm, because when we sleep, that's going to allow us to have restoration. And we're going to restore everything that functions in our body and our whole brain as well. And we're going to have energy conservation. We need to be able to conserve energy because it's important for us to be able to do that. We don't want to be expending energy all day, all night long. And we need to be able to improve our brain function. So it's important for us to do that. Now, when we look at brain function, specifically, what we see is that all these neurons, these nerve cells, all right, they are very important in information processing, building memories, and in learning. So maybe you learn something during the course of the day, but guess what? It doesn't get cemented in until you sleep. So that's what we need to be able to do. And when we sleep, it allows us to get even more connections. And the most important connections are the ones that are left functioning. The rest are not going to stay. But we end up with getting new solutions. So creativity, how many of you value your creativity, right? So being able to have creative thinking is really an important function of sleep. So we need to be able to do that. Now, Dr. Foster talks about the sleepometer. So I love how he puts this. So the rock stars of sleep are teenagers, okay? They are the rock stars. Because when they go to sleep, there's no waking them. So that's the thing. So they're the rock stars when it comes to sleep. Babies are waking up all the time. They get a lot more sleep during the total amount of days. But teenagers, once they're out, boom, they're out 10 hours straight. All right. So they need typically 9 hours of sleep, and they usually take it too. All right. Now, in the average in the 1950s, people were getting about 8 hours of sleep in the 1950s, but that's been going down. 2013, 6.5 hours, and it's been going down, and not uncommon to see 5 hours of sleep. And I've been working with clients over the years, and this is one of the major areas that I assess is how's your sleep? And I really make sure that we make a point of improving the sleep. So it's very, very important that we get enough sleep. There was actually research that was done, so leaders in several different areas. So in experts in sleep, anatomy, physiology, pediatrics, neurology, gerontology, and gynecology, they created a new age-specific sleep recommendation. So I thought I'd share this with you. So newborns, infants, toddlers, schools, preschool, school age, teenagers. As you can see, teenagers, 8 to 10 hours. That's not uncommon for them. They usually get that. Young adults, 7 to 9 hours. Adults, most of us here are adults. So 26 to 64 years of age, 7 to 9 hours. And then older, what we see, typically speaking, if over the age of 65, is that people can actually get by with a little bit less sleep. Now, I will say this. If you are following a healthy lifestyle and you're really paying attention to everything, your sleep, your diet, your exercise, and all the things that we're going to talk about later on, you could get away with a little bit less sleep as long as you're feeling refreshed and you feel like you've got your energy. Everybody's going to be a little bit different. So it depends. So we'll talk about all of those factors. So there's variability here, but this is the general rule of thumb. This is from the panel of experts. So I thought I'd show you this. So Dr. Foster also shares some alarming statistics that 31% of drivers in the United States actually micro sleep. That's scary. That's scary to me. That's almost a third. That's almost a third. You're out there on the highway, you're driving, and you're worried about being able to be safe and getting home. You're taking a long trip, and a third of the people out there are micro sleeping. That's alarming to me. That's alarming. That's a dangerous endeavor. Dangerous. Now, it's really important for us to pay attention to why we need to sleep. When we have lack of sleep, we experience poor memory. Our memory actually gets worse. So all that cramming didn't do me a bit of good, I can tell you. Increased impulsiveness. Oh boy, especially when it comes to impulsive eating, comfort food. Ooh, hello. All right, poor judgment, poor decision making. Yeah, that happens too. All right, so that's what happens with lack of sleep. In addition, we run the risk of increased stress, increasing weight, increasing use of alcohol or drugs. Not good. All right, not good at all. In fact, it's so bad that we even see that there is a link between lack of sleep and mental well-being and causing depression. It is not uncommon. I have seen this several times with people that were depressed because they were lacking enough sleep. It really does happen quite a bit. We've even got research showing this, which was rather fascinating, that in patients with schizophrenia, what we noticed is that there is a very, very direct link with the altered sleep patterns in people with schizophrenia. That's alarming too. And when we looked even deeper, what we saw is that the genes that affect sleep are very closely, they're very close in area on the DNA to the genes that are linked to schizophrenia. So this is very, very alarming stuff. So we have to pay attention to our sleep. Very, very important. So as Dr. Foster says, we have to update our societal attitudes and start to take our sleep seriously. Sleep increases our concentration, attention, decision-making, creativity, social skills, and health. That's a good list. And it decreases mood changes, stress, anger, impulsiveness, drinking, and smoking. Very good. It's a good thing to sleep. Yes, it is. So we need to embrace the sweet dew of slumber. Yes, we need to do that. It's very important. Now, the third scientist I want to share with you today is from, actually, I attended the 2020 Lifestyle Medicine Conference online. We did it virtually in October of 2020. So just a few months ago. And we had this wonderful, brilliant presentation by Dr. Param. He goes by Dr. Param, but I'll tell, he'll be next. So, last thing from Dr. Foster. So he says this. So Dr. Foster says, sleep for dummies. Number one, dark room. Keep it dark. Electronics, turn them off. Okay, another thing, no caffeine after lunch. No caffeine after lunch. No caffeine after lunch, okay? Morning light, as soon as you can, open up those windows, pull back the shades and the drapes, okay? Bring in the sun, and then make sure you've got a routine in order to wind down. So you wanna have a regular routine. We'll talk more about that as we go along. Okay, so now, from the 2020 Lifestyle Medicine Conference, Dr. Param. All right, he is fabulous. I'm going to send you his TED Talk. He's just fantastic. He is the director of sleep medicine. Such a thing. I didn't know that there was such a thing as sleep medicine. He is the director of sleep medicine at Canyon Ranch in Tucson, Arizona. And so he is absolutely brilliant. Now, he poses this question: which could you live without for longer? Could you live without food or live without sleep for a longer period of time? Yeah, really good question, because you know what? You can't live without sleep. You can live without food for a lot longer than you can live without sleep. So it's really important that you get that. Sleep, as he says, is the absolute foundation for our health. It's a foundation for our nutrition working more effectively. It's absolutely the case. It's a foundation for us to be able to perform better in terms of our exercise. We need to be able to get enough sleep. And it's our foundation for experiencing joy in our life, because you know what? You're crabby if you don't get enough sleep, aren't you? Yeah, you know, and you know who you are, right? Okay, so the thing is, you want to be able to have, you want to have joy in your life. You got to have sleep in your life. It's really important. So we want to have that sleep as a foundation. It's absolutely imperative that we get enough sleep. Now, the function of sleep. Now, here's the top 10. His top 10 functions of sleep. Number 10 is to restore. So when we go to sleep, we actually cool the brain and the body, and that gives us the temperature down regulation so that we can actually start to do the repair, all the other things that we need to do to restore our body. Number 9, we reset. So we're going to regulate the ion channels for things to move and transfer. All right, very important for our brain, especially. I talked about this in my Alzheimer's presentation about all the ion channels and how that actually works. Number 8, we repair. So we are going to be able to optimize our physiological growth. So we actually emit something called growth hormone. And that's really important for us to repair anything that's broken down during the course of the day. So we need to have that growth hormone. You may not be growing vertically anymore, but you need to be able to grow in terms of repair. Number 7, anti-inflammatory. So it helps to reduce the inflammatory markers such as C-reactive protein. And we want to be able to reduce those because those put us at greater risk for things like diabetes, heart disease, cancer, all kinds of things. Number 6, heart health. Heart health is actively cardioprotective when we sleep. It really makes a difference because our heart is working all during the course of the day. So we got to give it a chance to down-regulate and work at a lower level and really help it to restore. That really helps. Brain health, number 5, enhances neuroplasticity and our ability to learn and to be able to build new connections, to be able to grow. We always want to be growing. Memory, number 4, improve your memory formation and consolidation. So that's what happens when we sleep. It does. I really thought I could memorize more by staying up longer. No, it doesn't work. So we want to improve our memory. Number 3, improve our mood. It helps us to soothe our emotions and mental fatigue. We're going to talk about when that happens in our sleep cycle, because this is really important for us to have emotional repair. And that happens at night when we sleep. Number 2, joy. It connects us physically, mentally, and emotionally to others, and especially for ourselves. We start to experience more joy in our life when we have adequate sleep. And the number 1 function of sleep is to improve our energy. So we need to be able to replete our energy stores, and that's why we need to have sufficient sleep, because otherwise you're tired, right? We know what that's like when you don't get enough sleep and you feel tired all the time. So you've got to be able to get enough sleep for energy. So these are your top 10 functions of sleep. Now, what Dr. Param also says, it is not normal, just so you know, it's not normal to fall asleep if you're reading quietly in the afternoon. Not normal. It's not normal to drift off at afternoon meetings. No, not normal. It's not normal to fall asleep watching TV in the early evenings. That's not normal either. It's not normal to sleep when you're a passenger in a car. That's not normal either. Okay, and it's not normal to doze off while waiting at red lights or stop signs. That's not normal either. You got to get some sleep. Okay, you know who you are. You've been there. You've done this. Okay, so you've got to get, this is when you need to address your sleep. It really is the case. Yeah, I've done it. Yeah, I've done it. In fact, I remember I was tired. I didn't get enough sleep, and I had my son in the car, and I'd say, tell me when the light turns green. So I'd snooze while I'm at the stoplight with my eyes closed. Then he'd say green, and then I'd wake up and start driving again. That's not normal. Don't do that. That's telling you you need to get more sleep. Now, be curious if you hear somebody say, I do not need sleep. Yeah, right. Okay, be curious if you hear, I'm fine with just 4 to 5 hours of sleep. Yeah, right. Yeah, be curious if somebody says, yes, I sleep. I get 10 or more hours every night. Yeah, right. Yeah, be curious if somebody says, oh, I catch up on sleep over the weekends. That's not normal either. Okay. And you can't catch up. All right. You can't catch up because you're being deprived of sleep during the course of the week. Oh, and be curious if somebody says, oh, I'm a great sleeper. I can sleep anytime, anywhere. Yeah, right. Okay, be curious, dive in a little bit more. Okay, so now, the science of sleep, we don't just go to sleep and then wake up. There's actually cycles to sleep. Now, when I taught psychology at the university, I started studying more about sleep, and it was really fascinating. So there are 4 different stages of sleep that we see. All right, so the first stage is stage 1. We experience what we call light sleep. Okay, so light transitional sleep. So we're just drowsy and we're just starting to get some sleep. So it's just a light transitional portion of our sleep stage. So that's stage 1. Now, in stage 2 is more stable sleep, and then we actually we start to get so out. We're out. I mean, we're just out. This is when you can't get woken up again. All right, so it's difficult to be woken. So lights out, boom, you're done. All right, this is when teenagers, they get to this stage, you can't wake them up for 10 hours. All right, so that's stage 2. All right, and then stage 3 is deep sleep. Now, this is when we release the growth hormone. And this is when we start doing a lot of repair. Now, it usually occurs in the first third of the night. I'm going to show you exactly how that looks. All right, so that's the deep sleep. And there's a lot of things going on in deep sleep. So it's not that we're just out. Like in stage 2, you're just lights out, that's it. Nothing's happening. But stage 3, there's a lot going on. Now, REM sleep is the 4th stage, rapid eye movement. You probably heard of that before, REM. So rapid eye movement sleep, revitalize the memory. Now, you probably, if you have animals, you've seen this, all right? You've seen the dogs, you know, they're kind of running in their sleep, barking, they're chasing the cat, right? So that's REM sleep. Now, we do it as human beings. Now, and it's a very active stage. It's very high and intense dreaming is likely to occur at this stage. So things are happening in the REM sleep. Now, this whole cycle, it repeats itself several times while we're asleep. Now, here's what Dr. Param shows us. So the normal sleep cycles, all right? So what we actually can do is we can look at our sleep cycles and we look at the brain waves. So when we're awake, we're resting and the eyes are closed, we can see the brain waves looking like this. Now, stage 1 is transitional, all right? So this is the light sleep. Okay, so that's what's happening, transitional sleep. So in fact, it's likened to hypnosis because we're operating from what we call theta waves. So theta is the same wavelength as hypnosis. Now, stage 2 is, now, by the way, transitional sleep, we only spend about 5% of our time in that transitional sleep. Now, stage 2 is the light sleep, and we'll spend, but it's actually, we're out there. That's typical sleep, and we'll spend about 50 to 55% of our time there. So that's what it looks like there as far as the brainwaves. Now, stage 3, we're going to spend about 15 to 25% of our time there. That's when we're really in deep sleep. A lot of things are going on as far as the hormone changes and everything else. And then REM sleep, rapid eye movement, is about another 15 to 25%. And we see a lot of activity going on there. And that's the rapid eye movement. We're dreaming. We're dreaming. Now, if we look at what's happening in a typical course of sleep, what we start to see is this. Okay, so we're awake here. And then what happens is we go into stage 1, all right, for a short period of time, the transitional sleep, we're going to that. And then we go into stage 2 for a while. So we're out, all right, we're just out. And then we go into stage 3. All right, so now we're going into stage 3, growth hormone, much more of a deep sleep here. We're going to spend more time there. Then we come out of that, we go back to stage 2, and then we bounce up to REM sleep, very active in terms of our brain, but we're not awake. We're dreaming. All right, so we have a short dream, and then we go back down to stage 2. We stay there for a while. We're out, and then we go into the deeper sleep, real deep sleep. All right, so we're doing that for a shorter period of time. Then we come back up to stage 2, and then we come up and we dream a little longer. All right, and then we go into another stage 2. We stay there for a little while, and then we go down to deep sleep, and it's usually shorter. And then we come out of that, go over to stage 2 for a while longer, and then we come up to REM sleep, and it's even longer. All right, so longer period of time in REM sleep, come back down to stage 2, over there for a while, and then we come up, and usually we're in REM sleep before we wake up. So this is a typical 8-hour cycle that we'll see. Now, what Dr. Param talks about is that in the first half of our sleep, we're spending more time in the 3rd stage of sleep. So we're doing that deeper sleep, and that's going to help us with physical repair. Physical repair. It's really going to help us with that. And it's helping us with our memory. That's what it's helping us with. Let's see here. Yeah, okay. So it's helping us with our memory. And then, so we do that in the first half of our sleep. In the second half of our sleep, we're going to be doing more dreaming. Okay, and that's going to help us with the emotional repair, emotional clearing, and it also helps us to set us up for problem solving in the next day. All right, so it helps us to be able to have those new ideas that we need for problem solving. So it's very important for us to get both of these aspects, the deeper sleep and the dream sleep. We need both of those during the course of our night. Now, some of us, as we get older, we know sometimes right in between, we have to get up and go to the bathroom, okay? So if that happens, that's fine. Just go back to sleep, all right? Because you still need that second half. You still need that second half, so you want to be able to do that. Now, to set ourselves up, Dr. Param talks about setting yourself up for sleep, for a good night's sleep, is predicated on the whole day before you go to bed. So you can't do crazy things all day long and expect to have a good night's sleep. No, you have to be mindful your entire day. So your best 24 hours starts, we're going to start in the early morning. So you need to have a wake up time. So you want to try to have a set wake up time. So you always have the alarm clock go off at the same time, or if you're really good with your circadian rhythm and you naturally get up at a certain time, that's fine too. Just get up at that time. You know who you are, you know what your time is for you, whatever works. One of the things that really helps in the early morning to help you to set you up for a good night's sleep is getting morning light. Get that light in right off the bat. If you travel, it's real important to get that morning light to help reset the hypothalamus for your circadian rhythm in that new time zone. So when I was traveling to deliver presentations on the East Coast, I always made sure I got my morning light first thing. Really important. It also helps to have a daily breakfast routine as part of your routine. So we want to have that food early in the morning. So we want to be able to do that. So that's the early morning. So you want to have routine, make sure that you're doing that. Now, when we get to the afternoon, what you want to be able to do, remember we talked about no caffeine after lunch, no caffeine after lunch, no caffeine after lunch. So time your caffeine so that you have it in the morning, not in the afternoon. Know your circadian rhythm, especially if you think you need to take a nap, if you're not used to doing this. So you may need to take a nap, and that's fine. But you also want to make sure that you have daily physical activity. And you can do that in the morning, you can do that in the afternoon, but you want to be able to definitely have physical activity, usually before the evening. That's usually what you want to be able to do if you want to have really good sleep. Now, the evening, what you want to be able to do is spend some time clearing your mind, all right? So being able to quiet down and be mellow is a really good thing. If you have alcohol, and I'll talk more about alcohol later, the thing is you want to time that, because if you have alcohol later, it could actually affect your brain very negatively. I had a client of mine who was, he was interacting with me. He was a junior executive in my company that I was working with. And he says, Ruben, I'm having some issues. I'm getting woken up in the middle of the night with terrors, some nightmares. And we figured it out. It was the alcohol. It's not uncommon for that to occur. It's not uncommon for people to actually experience night terrors and nightmares in the middle of the night because they had the alcohol. So that's one of the things he cut out, and lo and behold, the terrors went away. So it's pretty amazing. You also want to practice relaxation in the evening before you go to sleep. So it really helps as well as being able to do that. Yoga is a wonderful practice. Being able to do some stretching, great stuff. Now, the nighttime, all right, as you're getting ready to go to bed, you go to bed when you're sleepy, all right? So that's real important. You want to make sure. And even if you are not sleepy, but you know it's your bedtime, you want to still go to bed at your bedtime so you get enough sleep. Have a ritual. Have a ritual that is soothing and relaxing, that helps you to be able to relax. Include all the things that you need to do. And I'm going to give you some very, very good references. There's a book called Sleep Rituals. Sleep Rituals. So I'm going to send you this. It's from Jennifer Williamson, really great. And there's affirmations that you can say in the morning. And there's also affirmations that you can say at night as well. So there's really great practices, things that you can do as a ritual to help you get ready to have a good night's sleep. We'll talk more about this as we go along. And then what we show also is that a darker room is better and comfortably cool. So it's definitely, you want to be able to do that. We sleep better when we do that. All right, now the late night the late night, you want to practice stillness. You want to practice stillness, just really be still as much as you can. Keep your bedroom free of distractions like television. All right, so you want to make sure that it's just for intimacy and for sleep. That's it. That really makes it best. And then if you're awake for 20 minutes or more, then you should probably get out of bed and maybe do something else, going to a stillness type of a practice, either reading a book or meditation or breathing exercises that can help you go back to sleep and get tired again. So you may need to do that as well. That happens. Now, Dr. Param finishes up his presentation by talking about the 3 keys to sleep. Number 1, have a sufficient quantity. You want to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. That's what we want to be able to do as adults. The quality of the sleep is going to be improved by all your practices that you engage in during the course of your day. So you want to be able to have good sleep hygiene and good sleep practices. And then you want to be able to make sure that your clocks are set. You want to have a rhythm, because what we show also in the research is that you have a regular sleep cycle works better. Because if you're erratic in your time frames, it actually disrupts your sleep and your circadian rhythm. So you want to work with your circadian rhythm, not against it. So in summary, with all of these many other scientists, what we see in terms of sleep, the most important thing is a regular schedule. I cannot emphasize that enough. I mean, it really is important, and it works for children. I've seen this with my children, and if they had a regular schedule, guess what? They perform better in school, they perform better in sports. It really made a difference. You want to get warmer before bedtime, get the room cooler, but you get warmer, and then increase your daytime exposure to sunlight again, or increase physical activity, and power naps are okay. Usually what we see in the research for most people is that if it's less than 30 minutes, so you want to keep naps to a shorter period of time. If you're really tired, then sleep a little bit longer, but you're going to go into more of the cycle. So keep that in mind. Now, I cannot emphasize this enough. Be sure that you've got a good quality bed. It really makes a difference. I've had several clients over the years where I asked them, so when's the last time you had your mattress changed? And they said, oh, about 10 years ago. I said, no, it's time for a new mattress. Okay, so it's really important that you have a good mattress. It makes a big difference. It is a worthwhile investment. Your sleep is so, so important. So you want to have great sleep. So very important. Now, some of this is overlapping, you're going to see. So environmentally, darken the room about an hour before bedtime, allow your air temperature to gradually cool, warmer bedding. And by the way, the weighted blankets, what we've seen in the research, that seems to be working very well for a lot of people. So you may even like those. So if the weighted blanket is something that can work for you, go ahead, go for it. Decrease the noise and especially the blue lights from the computer screens and the phone. Make sure you that's a big deal. And then eliminate the TVs, computers, and phones from your bedroom, and then put your alarm clocks out of sight. So make sure that you can't see them because there's a lot from those lights. Now, dietary, let's go to dietary because yeah, your food makes a difference. Everything that you put in your mouth makes a difference. So decrease your caffeine throughout the day, especially after lunch. Avoid your alcohol within 3 hours of bedtime. If you have any alcohol, you don't want to have it within 3 hours of bedtime. I'm going to talk a little bit more about alcohol in a minute. Decrease your late night snacking. This is a problem a lot of people have when they're in stress, because when we're under a lot of stress, then what we do is we get comfortable and relax, and then we start getting the comfort food. So keep that in mind. So we want to decrease the late night snacking. Decrease high sodium foods, especially the Doritos. Come on now. I mean, those things are like that's just meant for your brain to wire your brain. I mean, the food manufacturers know. They know exactly how to create addictive foods for your brain. All right, it's got the right ratio of fat, salt, and sugar. All right, it's going to affect you. So you got to watch out for that stuff. Increase your drinking of water throughout the entire day. It really makes a difference. So make sure you're drinking water. Start off with water right off the bat. I usually start off with 16 ounces of water first thing in the morning. And then I'm drinking water, about a glass of water, 8-ounce glass of water before each meal and 8-ounce glass after each meal. So make sure you have water throughout the day. And then if you're overweight, then you want to decrease your weight. Be sure to check out my Lose Weight, Feel Great webinar as well. So I'll give you my 4-prong approach. So that's important dietary. Now I'm going to get on my soapbox for a minute and talk about alcohol, because it does make a difference as far as sleep. I cannot even begin to tell you how many times people have had issues with alcohol and then they have issues with their sleep. There's no safe level. Okay, from lifestyle medicine, we got to tell you, there's no safe level of alcohol. The truth about alcohol is that it contributes to high blood pressure, increases to the risk of stroke, damages your heart muscle, leads to heart failure, causes abnormal heart rhythms, and adversely interacts with medications. None of this is good. And the American Medical Association, in case you didn't know, issued a statement letter to the Dietary Guidelines Committee for Americans this past summer. And they said, and right down here, there is no safe threshold for alcohol and cancer risk. Okay, I just want to give it to you straight so you know. From the research also, we show this, that 1 bottle of wine is the equivalent of cancer risk of 5 cigarettes per week in a man and 10 cigarettes per week in a woman. That's not good either. So remember this, that the food that you eat can either be the safest and most powerful form of medicine and help you with your sleep, or it's going to be the slowest form of poison and detract from your sleep. So every time you eat or drink, you are either feeding disease and poor sleep, or you're fighting disease and improving your sleep. Now you get to choose. You get to choose how that goes. So my food pyramid is to help us look at food neurologically. If you want better sleep, here's my guideline. Stay away from life-depleting foods. Meat, dairy, oils, processed foods, refined sugar, deep fried foods, all sodas. Legal drugs include caffeine, nicotine, alcohol. Excitotoxins include MSG and aspartame. All right, stay away from these. And you want to improve your sleep, then focus on, as lifestyle medicine, we talk about a whole food, plant-based diet. So starchy veggies, whole grains, legumes, greens, colorful veggies, and fruit. Stay there. That will be life-promoting food and stimulate the parasympathetic branch of your central nervous system. So just in case you didn't know, all right, the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, in association with all these other organizations, the American Cancer Society, the American Heart Association, the Endocrine Society, American Diabetes Association, a whole bunch more, all recommend for optimal health. Major scientific and medical organizations agree, eat more unrefined plant foods. Okay, so really you want to improve your sleep, make sure that your refrigerator looks like a garden, teeming with life rather than a morgue rotting of death. All right, it's pretty simple. Pretty simple. It will make a powerful difference in your sleep, I promise you. Now, next thing that's going to help you is going to be your exercise. Now, this is me on the left saying this, and I say this often: what fits your busy schedule better, exercising 1 hour a day or being dead for 24 hours a day? What's it going to be, boo-boo? All right, so exercise. You've got to exercise. And I go into it in many of my other webinars, but exercise, we've shown in the research, it makes you happier than actually having more money, okay? So you want to exercise. Well, we want to see this exercise approximately 150 to 300 minutes per week is the sweet spot for exercise. So we want to get enough exercise. Now, I talked about earlier about how we can shift our central nervous system. So it's the thoughts that we think is number one. So we really have to practice a growth mindset. Dr. Carol Dweck, who wrote the book Mindset, did research for over 30 years and showed that we are going to operate either from the fixed mindset that believes that talent is inborn, either you got it or you don't, you're a winner or a loser. It's that kind of fixed mindset. And that also holds us back in our life. Now, you can be successful and you can make a lot of money with a fixed mindset, but it's not satisfying and it will detract from your sleep. It will. Whereas a growth mindset believes that ability can be developed and the ultimate desire is to learn and improve. And it's very calming and peaceful. And that's really what promotes success in every meaning of the word. So we want to promote a growth mindset. We want to be mindful of the fixed mindset. What gets us into trouble and puts us in the fixed mindset are our attachments. Attachments. And I love this book by Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. His father wrote the 4 agreements. So the 5 levels of attachment, and what happens mentally, and I hear people, they tell me, well, I've always got anxiety, I'm worried, I'm everything else. So I start to dive into that and find out, well, yeah, they've got attachments into how they think things should be. The first level of attachment is actually 0 attachment, and that's when we have a space of being authentic. We're totally present. We're accepting life just as it is. We experience joy. There's no conditions or expectations because guess what? None of us has control about how everything goes in life. No, we don't. The second level of preference is a minor level of attachment. That's preference, how we would like it to be, but we're okay if it's not that way. The third level is identity. Now what we have is we have a more of an ego sense about an attachment. So we see ourselves as a mom or as a dad or as this or as that. So we put an ego label on ourselves. So we adopt a persona. So it's a stronger level of attachment. But the fourth level is where it starts to get more serious, and that's internalization. Now what we do is we start to say the word should. You should do this. They should do that. You shouldn't do this. I should do that. I shouldn't do that. We should all over everything. And so what we do is we start placing these attachments of how things should be. And that plays a trick on our mind. And so what happens is we're so caught up and frustrated when things are not the way we think they should be. So when we get upset because things are not the way that we think they should be, it detracts from our peace and calm. And then finally, the highest level of attachment is what we refer to in psychology as fanaticism. So fanaticism means it's rigid attachment. We're so rigidly attached that even if we have contrary information, we're not going to change our point of view. So we're so rigidly attached that thing, instead of should, the word is must. You must do this. We must do that. And if you don't do it, then off with your head. That's ridiculous. So that's fanaticism. And by the way, we've got a lot more fanaticism rolling around these days, don't we? All right, so we really do. So we have to be mindful of that. So as Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. says, of all the beliefs to detach from, this is the most important one. Let go of the attachment that you must obtain some image of perfection in order to be happy. This will serve you well when it comes to your sleep. I promise you. I promise you. Let go of perfection. Because guess what? There is no such thing as perfection, and yet everything is already. Isn't that amazing? So we need to be able to reduce our stress as well. But this is a big deal because this is the internal game. So in order for us to reduce our stress, what we show in the research is that when we listen to music that is at 60 beats per minute, 60 beats per minute. So there's a rhythm, and it's very close to the rhythm of our heart. And if we start listening to this kind of music about an hour before bedtime, that helps to relax us and put us in the parasympathetic state. Definitely recommend that you stop working 90 minutes before bedtime. Give yourself at least an hour and a half. There's a whole course called Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction. It's an 8-week course. I'm going to send you the link for free. And it's a free course. Such a deal. All right, so you're going to be able to do that, and it's wonderful. Now, meditation or controlled breathing absolutely is the simplest little thing that you can do, and to practice slowing down your breath. In fact, Dr. Andrew Huberman, who is absolutely brilliant. I'm going to send you his video. And something very fascinating that he discovered was this, that animals and human beings all do this when we sleep. So when we sleep, what is natural for us to do is to inhale, pause, inhale deeper, and then have a long exhale. And we do that periodically. Now, if you have cats or dogs, watch them when they're sleeping, because you'll see they do it. I noticed this just this last week. I was working with clients and they have a dog. It was just this lovely German Shepherd and was lying there sleeping while we're having our meeting. And then I heard him breathe that way. It was just like I looked over and inhale, pause, inhale deeper, long exhale. Now, when you consciously do this, what Dr. Huberman showed in the research is that when we consciously do this, we trigger ourselves being in the parasympathetic state quicker than anything else. And we're able to lower our heart rate, lower our blood pressure, and we load off more CO2 and increase our oxygen. Such a deal. So it's really cool stuff. So I'm going to send you this information. It's going to be really great. It'll be in the email that I'll send to you. Pursue happiness, my friends, because you know what? When we're happier, we sleep better. When we are happier, we sleep better. You know, worry will destroy us. Anxiety will destroy us. Sadness will destroy us, and we don't sleep when we're in that state. So we need to be pursuing happiness. I think I'm going to do a whole webinar on the pursuit of happiness. It'll be really great. Would you like to do that? How many of you would like to be in a webinar, the pursuit of happiness? I will share all my tricks on being happy. Okay, good. I'm going to do that. I think that's going to be cool. So here are just 5 little tips, just 5. There's more. I've got a whole bunch more. All right. But number 1, live in the moment. Live in the moment. Lao Tzu said this: if you are depressed, you're living in the past. If you are anxious, you are living in the future. To be happy, live in the moment. Very powerful, very powerful. Second thing, it's better to be loving than to be right. My friends, we get into trouble with our sleep because a lot of us are holding on to our righteous indignation, and we've got to be right. And we just need to let go of that. None of us on the face of the planet really is qualified to dictate how life should be for anyone else. Of course, my father thinks that he is, but and you may know others too. But the thing is, none of us is qualified to dictate how life should be for anyone else. So let go of that need to be right. It's better to be loving and accepting of life, of others, and ourselves, just the way that we are. Third, be a spectator to your own thoughts. Be a spectator. Notice, especially when you become upset, irritated, annoyed, frustrated, okay? Any of that. When you notice that, in my stress management course, in that webinar, check that out, because I talk about how we do it to ourselves. So it's very important, if we're a spectator, that helps us to let go of that stress that we induce on our own. Fourth is to be grateful. Be grateful for at least one thing every single day, every day. Most of us are not grateful or not appreciating how blessed our lives truly are. So we really need to be grateful and make that a practice. We complain all day, all night. Oh, that's exhausting. No wonder we don't sleep. So practice being grateful. And then also practice helping others every chance you get. Even if you've got a tough time that you're facing right now, practice getting out of your way and helping someone else. You will be happier as a result, and you will sleep better. You will sleep better when you've made a difference for somebody else's life. I promise you, you will. You absolutely will. Now, what I've shared with people for years and years and years, one of the things that I learned a long time ago, and I've been sharing this ever since, that my single best tip, my one tip, if there's one thing that helps so many people, about 98% people report a tremendous improvement in the quality of their sleep, and that is this: to put a gratitude journal on your night table. Put a journal on your night table. It doesn't have to be already pre-printed or anything else, but put a journal on your night table. And before you go to bed, you record 5 new items that you are grateful for that day. And do not repeat anything from any previous day, because you know what? Each day is unique. And we all have such blessed, amazing lives, don't we? We really do. We really do. And when we start to take into account how beautiful our lives truly are, how precious this gift of life truly is, and we start being grateful for it and recording that, you start to realize just how amazing your life really is, and you can sleep peacefully. You really can. You really can. So my friends, I've given you lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of practices. Woo! Okay, so number 1 at the top of the list is a regular sleep schedule. Really practice a regular sleep schedule. That's the most important thing. Most people are not consistent enough in their sleep schedule. Practice all the environmental things that we talked about. Create the environment so that it's conducive for you to be able to sleep. So make sure you set yourself up that way environmentally. Nutritionally, we talked about a lot of things as far as nutrition, being able to do that to improve being in the parasympathetic state. Exercise, it's important that we exercise. I know for myself clearly that I sleep better when I've had a good workout that day. So I know that for myself. It really makes a difference. Hydration, clearly important. So you need to be drinking enough water. So drink your water, really important. And we show in the research so many benefits from drinking water. It's crazy. Mindset, work on your mindset. So please take on the challenge. Eliminate complaining about anything or anyone for 30 days in a row. Go for 30 days, count your days. If you get to day 29 and you complain, start over. All right, so you keep going. Work on being able to manage your stress and reduce your stress, especially practice your breathing. So slow your breathing down, practice that breathing exercise that I described to you today, and really practice that. It really makes a difference. I practice it every day, and I actually practice it when I swim. So one of my exercise routines is swimming. So I swim 3 days a week. And when I'm doing my hard part of my training, I practice using that breathing to help me to recover much more quickly. It's really wonderful. And then practice pursuing happiness. Really practice that. It really makes a difference. It'll make a difference in the quality of your sleep. It'll make a difference in the quality of your life. And practice being grateful, really being grateful. Complain about nothing, be grateful for everything, for everything. All right, so now my question for you is this: would you like to make the rest of your life the best of your life? I hope the answer to that question is a resounding yes. So my question is this now: imagine for a moment, what would that look like for you if you were living your best life? Would it be like these people, able to be active and vibrant, fully alive, well until their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s? Yeah? Would you like to finish your life being able to live a life filled with health, energy, vitality, and fun all the way to the very end? I hope so. So the question is this: where are you now? Are you there yet? Chances are you're not. So how will you get from where you are now to where you want to be? Well, if you're going to change from where you are to where you want to be, you need a plan. But more importantly, do you have a plan that's actually proven to work? Most people don't. They don't have a plan when it comes to changing their lifestyle. I do. And I do because I've actually changed my lifestyle and I'm living proof. So in early 1995, I was 55 pounds heavier than you see me, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high blood sugar. I had issues. and I didn't care because I was depressed. I had ruptured my Achilles tendon 4.5 years earlier before, and the doctor told me I would never play basketball again. So I put myself in that deep, dark hole. And you know, if you've been there, I sought out all the comfort food I could. And I did that for 4.5 years. Yes, I put it on. And I didn't care, because when you're depressed, you don't care about what anybody else thinks, and you don't care about yourself. I took care of everybody else. I was very responsible. I was hardworking, dedicated, determined, very intelligent. I took care of everybody else except one person, me. So my friend walked up to me that day and he called me chubby while I'm coaching my swimmers on deck. And I got mad. I got really mad at him as he walked away. And I wanted to throw that buttermilk donut I had in my hand at him, but I didn't want to waste the donut. So the thing is, I got really mad first at him, but then I got mad at me because I realized I had done it to myself. So I made a vow right then and there that I was done. I was done being unhealthy. I was done being overweight. I was done with it. And I made a solemn promise to myself to change. Fortunately for me, I had been well coached. I was a very coachable athlete. I was a collegiate athlete. I learned from many wonderful teachers, and I knew how to make changes. And I went back to fundamentals. So my 4-step plan is based on fundamentals that work. It works in sports, it works in business, and guess what? It works in health. So number one, we must begin from within. Einstein said the significant problems we face cannot be solved at the same level of thinking we were at when we created them. So we have to shift our thinking and rewire our subconscious mind. Fortunately for me, I've had tremendous training on exactly how to do that. Secondly, we need a proven strategy that's evidence-based, because doing the same things over and over again, expecting different results, is the definition of, insanity. So let's not go there. Third, we need to set ourselves up intelligently with a structure for support and accountability. Now, I've coached swimming for over 40 years. I don't know of any swimmer who's gone to the Olympic Games without a coach, without a pool, without lane ropes, without equipment. It doesn't happen. Okay, you've got to be intelligent and set yourself up for success. And you've got to have this system of support and accountability. And then fourth, you've got to have a track record of consistent practice behaviors, because only through consistency do we develop the habits that we need to develop, and habits produce results. So this is a 4-step plan. I don't have any magic shortcuts. Sorry. I don't. All right. By the way, all my swimmers knew this. They'd come swim with me, and I said, I promise no shortcuts. Okay. I only promise a lot of hard work, dedication, and tenacity. That's what's going to do the trick. So that's what we have to be able to do. So some of the things that I offer, I do lifestyle medicine consultations for people. This is one-on-one. I will work with you individually to create a plan so that you know exactly where you need to go in terms of all the areas of lifestyle medicine. This is my friend John, who is incredible here. He's very happy because all his blood work is great. He's lost 75 pounds in this picture. He just made a huge difference in all his cardiovascular indicators for heart disease were gone. All right, so pretty darn happy. In addition, I have a group coaching program. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. So this is an opportunity to create that network of support and accountability. And it's gotten better and better every single time I've done it. And we're creating groups now that are going to be able to be in a support group for an entire year. And I'm doing the coaching for the first 12 weeks. So we have an immersion for the first 2 weekends online. We're doing this in June. So you have the immersion with me, and then we're going to do 12 weeks of group coaching with me, and then you get to be in a support group for an entire year. Holy moly, such a deal. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. It's an opportunity of a lifetime. It really works well. People produce miracles in this program. I'll send you the information about that, but we go through 2 full weekends. We cover a lot of material. We deal with the inside job first, and then I build you up so that we develop habits in nutrition, hydration, cardiovascular exercise, strength, and sleep, and more. Lots. This is one of my graduates. This is Donna, who had been plant-based already for 8 years in April when she started my program. And she's a retired nurse and with many health issues, including atrial fibrillation, high blood pressure, and many other things. And she said, Ruben, I'm having difficulty losing the weight, even though I've been plant-based for a long time. I've lost a certain amount of weight, but I've not been able to get to my healthy weight. And so she participated in the program. And what we were able to do is fine tune those little things. And she did it actually 4 times. It was extraordinary. I always tell people, you want to do it multiple times to help you. And she took on different areas each time. And as a result, here she is 70 pounds lighter. And you know what? It's continued, because here she is just recently, she's walking 9, 10, 11 miles every day. And it's just extraordinary. She's happy, and she will tell you herself that she is living her best life now. And she's just elated, and it's just wonderful. I also do lifestyle medicine programs for the workplace, for organizations. I was a healthcare executive for several years, and many years actually. And so I love coming into the workplace and being able to teach organizations and their employees how to be healthier and improve their productivity, improve their profitability. It makes a difference everywhere in that organization. And this is my contact information. I'm going to send this to you, so you're going to get all of that. But now what I'm going to do is go to the chat window. I'm going to stop the sharing and go to the chat window. So let me see. All right. And if you want to ask questions, you need to, let's see. All right. Let's see. Let me go to the chat window. Let me go back up to the top. All right. If you want to ask a question, you got to unmute yourself. Let me see. Let me start from the top. We'll go. Okay. Okay. All right, let's see. Comments. Okay. Okay. All right, let's see. Is there a question about, let's see, is there a question about milk? Oh, because I talked about that milk was a source of vitamin D. That's like ridiculous. Because they infuse it. Okay, let's see. Yeah, vitamin D, you want to get it from the sunlight. Okay, that's how you get it. All right, let's see. All right, let's see here. Is it normal to fall asleep when you're listening to someone who's boring? Yeah, it happens. That's a good one. That's a good one. I like that one. Let's see. Yeah, I heard years ago that you never catch up on lost sleep. That's what we show in the research. Actually true. You don't catch up. It just, there's such a negative effect from when you lose sleep. And so you don't really catch up. So there's no such, that's just a misnomer that you catch up on the weekends. I mean, that's the idea a lot of people say. And then, yeah, people can get sleep deprived for a long period of time. It's very interesting. What we show is when people are sleep deprived, and then we actually put them in a room with no stimuli whatsoever. It's a completely dark room. And we just let them sleep and say, okay, so you don't have to worry about getting up. You have nothing to worry about. So we've done sleep studies with people. And so when we put them in that room, if they've been sleep deprived for a long period of time, it will usually be a week, somewhere several days to a week of sleeping 10, 11 hours a night. And so they'll sleep for a longer period of time. So there's no stimuli, they have nothing to worry about. This is just part of the experiment, right? So they'll sleep for a longer period of time. And then eventually the sleep will start coming back down to about 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep. So that's where we initially started to come up with that 7 to 8 hours. We've done a lot more research since then. So when people are sleep deprived, then what happens is the body is going to want to sleep, and there's going to be a lot more sleep that they're going to require for a while in order to help to rebalance, because a lot of the hormones are off. There's endocrine systems all knocked out of whack, everything. One of the things, just to give you one small detail of this, one of the long-term stress hormones is cortisol. So cortisol levels in people who are sleep deprived goes up and it stays up. And so when they start sleeping, that cortisol, it takes several days before that cortisol starts to come down. So it takes a while. It doesn't happen right off the bat. Okay, very good question. All right, let's see here. What about lucid dreaming? What stage does that happen in? So the lucid dreaming, interesting. I don't know. That's a good question. In terms of lucid dreaming, I would imagine that's happening in the dream state. So, but I'm not sure about the lucid dreaming. I haven't read specifically on that. It's a good question. I don't know. Okay. All right, let's see. Can you ever catch up on sleep, even if you spend the weekends catching up on sleep, say sleep over 12 hours on Saturday? I think we've answered that already, so no. Let's see. We watch movies over 2 nights, keeping with the 1 hour of screen time rule. That's a good way to watch movies. I do that all the time. I break them up. I watch to a certain point, and then that's it. I'm done. And so you get used to watching movies that way. It's fine. It really is. It's fine. And then let's see, I usually check my iPhone messages at night when the lights are off. Not a good practice, right? Water and lemon or cucumbers are good. With water with lemon or cucumbers are good. Yeah, actually, it's great. Really great to do. Yeah, not a problem to have the water with the lemon or cucumbers. All right, let's see. How does watching TV affect your sleep before bedtime? Oh, there's lots of research on that because of the blue lights and how it actually affects you. So, and lots of the wavelengths. We know this, especially with children, That's one of the reasons why, now my younger children, my 2 boys, that they went through Waldorf education. And so we were very, very clear, no TV, computers, or phones until after the age of 12, because the electronic radiation affects brain development. So it really does make a difference. So yeah, it does affect your sleep before bedtime. Let's see, when you always inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth when you do the breathing exercise. Really what we find in the research, that particular breathing exercise that I share with you, he doesn't specify breathing in through your nose and mouth. It doesn't matter so much, because when we're relaxed and sleeping, we just do it. We use both our nose and mouth. Okay, let's see. But you can do that. It's perfectly fine. All right, let's see. Okay, don't understand that one yet. I don't know what that is. Okay. Let's see. I can fall asleep early, but always wake up multiple times a night. I find many women I know also have this. This seems to happen after menopause. How can you stay asleep? So this is a really great question, because this does happen for a lot of people that get older, and especially for the women going through or after menopause. This is not uncommon. So this is why I look at things from a very comprehensive lifestyle medicine approach. We want to look at everything. So just because those are the things that you notice, we want to look at all the factors, all the things that are contributing to that interrupted sleep. So we want to be able to look at what's happening in terms of the thoughts, the words, the actions, the company you keep, the food that you eat, what's happening in terms of your exercise, what's happening in terms of hydration, what's happening in terms of all the different aspects that contribute to your whole body being in the parasympathetic state. So it's not so simple to look at just one thing. And so we want to look at everything. And a lot of times it's like what I share with you, my graduate, Donna, we look at all those little spokes, if you will. They're spokes in a wheel. So how our sleep is going to be a reflection of how well we have those spokes in balance. So if you've ever trued up a bicycle wheel, then you know that you can't adjust only one spoke. You have to adjust all the spokes. If you ever break a spoke, you have to put in the new spoke, but now you have to readjust all the rest of the spokes as well. So it's not as simple as just one spoke. So I hope that helps to answer that question, because there's so many different factors and variables that affect our sleep and to help us to stay asleep. Okay, so now question from George. Is there any level of caffeine that is acceptable? Okay, George, my good friend George. All right, so here's the deal for me. I'll just share my personal story. So the thing for me, here's what happened to me. I was addicted to sugar and caffeine, okay? All right. Okay, those of you who are addicts, you know who you are, all right? So I was addicted to sugar and caffeine because that's what I had to do going through medical school and graduate school just to get by. So I believed that and I got hooked on that. Not good, not good. Now, I knew that caffeine was not good for you. I knew that. I didn't care. All right, so the thing is, I did it anyway. Caffeine, in case you didn't know, is an alkaloid. Oh, what's an alkaloid? Well, in organic chemistry, we study various chemicals. So nicotine is also an alkaloid. Did you know that? So nicotine and caffeine, oh, they're kissing cousins. Did you know that? Yeah, they are. They're kissing cousins. In fact, they're so closely related that if you wanted to extract and purify nicotine from tobacco leaves, the process is exactly the same for extracting caffeine from tea leaves. It's exactly the same. Now, before I went to medical school, we had to take a full year of organic chemistry and we did labs. So we extracted either, Dr. Wiley said, you can extract either nicotine from tobacco leaves or caffeine from tea leaves, your choice. However, and he said the however caught my attention. However, a word of warning before we get started. Okay, I always paid attention when he said that. He said, if you decide to extract the nicotine and before you to purify it into a powder and it's in its liquid state, if you are in the least bit careless and one drop of nicotine touches your skin, you will be dead in less than 5 seconds. Yep. That's how toxic it is. So I raised my hand. I said, what about the caffeine? And he said, it won't quite kill you. Gee, thanks. It'll likely make you very sick. It'll elevate your heart rate and do all kinds of crazy things to your body, but you'll probably survive. If you were young or old, it could kill you. George, you and I are getting older. Okay. Now, here's what happens with caffeine now. I finally got off of it. If I get introduced to caffeine, the blood vessels in my eyes will rupture and I will get floaters in my visual field. Not good. Not good. So anyway, I don't recommend it. I just don't. Okay. All right, let's see. What happens to the circadian rhythm if you work a night shift? Oh, great. Oh, this is a powerful, powerful question. You know, any nurses out there? Okay, nurses that work night shifts or any healthcare workers that work night shifts. This is such a difficult area. If you work night shift, this is really a very, very difficult area to deal with. I never recommend working night shifts, but some people have to do that. So it's really difficult to do that. So you have to work extra hard at trying to re-regulate your circadian rhythm as much as you possibly can. My heart goes out to you. It's difficult, difficult, difficult. Really is. And so you have to do everything possible to try to maintain a steady rhythm as you possibly can. It absolutely disrupts your circadian rhythm. It messes up with your hypothalamus tremendously. And this is why not many people last for very long working night shifts. I mean, really, it's very difficult for people who work night shifts to do that for a longer period of time. I have a very dear friend who was a neonatal intensive care nurse for over 30 years, and she worked nights. Bless her heart. I mean, very difficult. Now, it's difficult. I mean, she worked really hard at trying to regulate herself. Thank God she retired. Okay, so she finally did. She retired. She's able to have a normal circadian rhythm now. She's able to do that. She loves her life now. So it's very, very difficult, and you have to work hard at doing that. Okay, all right, let's see. Okay, caffeine, less is better, zero is best. I like that. I'm lactose intolerant. However, I just recently discovered macadamia milk. Well, it has no lactose. Okay, so is that okay to take once in a while? Yeah, it's a plant-based milk, so it's not from a cow. Okay, so, all right, so it's not from a lactating cow. You're fine. Okay, so you're fine. Okay, so if it's macadamia milk, oat milk, hemp milk, soy milk, rice milk, okay, any of those, perfectly fine. All right, let's see here.
I have a question. Have you tried oat milk?
I drink it all the time.
Oh, is it tasty? Because I didn't like almond milk at all. I hate it.
I love my oat milk. I put my oat
Really?
milk in my
Okay.
oatmeal every day, so that's what I do.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Very good. Let's see. Okay, let's see. What does how does the daily journal of gratitude affect your quality of sleep? So here's why. What it does, when you write out things that you're grateful for, you're putting your mind in the parasympathetic state. And when you put your mind in the sympathetic state, you sleep better. You just do, because you're now relaxed. You're in the parasympathetic state. All right. Oh, it's so wonderful. Okay, let's see. All right, let's see. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Let's see. Okay, so since nutrition affects overall health, including sleep, what do you suggest are the best times to eat? From what time to what time? Say 10 to 7. So generally speaking is this. Now it depends on your activity and your activity level. Here's the deal. Number one priority is eat consistently. Okay, so you want to eat consistently. Have a regular schedule for sleeping. Guess what? Have a regular schedule for eating. All right, so you want to be regular and consistent with that. Now, based on your needs, what you need to be able to do. If you work out in the morning like I do, I have something very light and then I work out. And then I'm going to have my big bowl of oatmeal after I work out. And then I'm going to have, I usually have fairly regular times that I eat. So you want to be as consistent as possible. That's priority number one. Priority number two is eat enough to fuel you up for the next 2.5 to 3 hours. So eat proactively. You want to be eating as frequent as about every 2.5 to 3 hours. You want to be eating. So that also sets up being in the parasympathetic state when you go to bed, because we were wired as babies to eat every 2.5 to 3 hours. So it's really important for us to eat about every 2.5 to 3 hours. So you want to eat consistently. So you want to eat consistently throughout the day, and then don't eat for the last 2.5 to 3 hours before you go to bed. So you have time for that food to digest and you're fine. So that's a great question. Great question. Yes, Tina.
I have a question is, what if you like to snack? Like, can you eat healthy snacks in between, like, a little bit of fruit, a little bit of nuts once in a while? And
yeah, you can have all kinds of healthy snacks, but again, you want to eat consistently, because do babies snack on their mothers? No. Okay, so babies do not snack on their mothers. All right, so they nurse. All right, they nurse and they get a belly full and then they go to sleep. Okay, so that's what they do. All right, so we want to try to emulate the babies as much as possible. So that's what you want to try to do. But yes, you can have healthy snacks, piece of fruit. I get rice cakes with some Chipotle black bean dip on there, and it's really great. I got all kinds of snacks that are really great, but I do that, and that's fine. All right, let's see. Isn't sugar like cocaine? It's almost as addictive or something? Yes, actually, sugar is more addictive than cocaine. And it actually fires up the hippocampus of our reward centers in our brain even stronger than cocaine. Now, I'm not saying that you should shift to cocaine, all right? I'm not saying that. All right, so don't do that. All right, both will kill you. Both will kill you. All right, so no sugar, no cocaine as well. All right, yes, it does do all kinds of things. Let's see. What if you take a daily intake of organic or caffeine-free tea? Well, okay, herbal teas are perfectly fine because there's no caffeine. All right, so herbal teas. All right, let's see. All right, let's see. What else? Let's see. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, what brand of oat beverage do I use? No, I should bring it out. So there is at Trader Joe's, George, I get this, there's this, it's a kind of a narrow carton of oat beverage. All right, the refrigerated one has other junk in it that I don't get. So I get this a narrow carton and it's on the shelves in the room temperature. So it's the oat beverage. There it is. Anne's holding it up. Okay, Anne's holding it up. That's the one, the non-dairy oat beverage from Trader Joe's. That's one, and it's got the least amount of fat. It's really good. I think it's only 2 grams of fat. I think it's really low. So it's very, very good. It's only 2 grams of fat. It's outstanding. I use that. That's the best. It's a good question. Okay, so that's the best one you want to get. All right, let's see. Make your own with water and a blender. Yeah, or you can make your own with water and a blender. Absolutely, you can. Yes, you can. Oatly oat milk is great as well. I haven't looked at the label on that one in a while. I forget exactly what's in that as well. Okay, other questions? Unmute yourself if you want to ask. I think I've gone through everything in the chat window. Okay, other questions? Unmute yourself if you have anything else. I want to make sure. I will stay and answer all questions. And you know, okay. All right, Tina.
Okay.
Thanks for
So,
being here. Yes, Tina.
I like to eat, right? I have to eat all day. I'm just so high energy, and
yeah,
even though I'm less than 100 pounds, I'm really tiny.
Yeah.
But my energy is like to the roof. So I'm always hungry, right?
Yeah.
So I have a question. Sometimes I crave for like chocolate chip cookies. I know it's not good. Is there like a healthy substitute for really yummy snacks?
Yes, there is. It's wonderful. It's a great question because this is a challenge that a lot of people have because we get conditioned physically and emotionally to food. All right. So we get addicted. All right. We do. And especially if it's got salt, sugar, or fat. Those 3 things interact in our brain, and the hippocampus goes crazy. And the amygdala says, ooh, yeah, baby, this is pleasure. Yeah, I'm loving this. All right, so that's what happens. Our brain goes really crazy on food, especially the food that's manufactured by the food industry with all the perfect recipes. They got the perfect recipes. All right, we love it if it tastes good, looks good, smells good. We'll eat it. All right, so the thing is we have to start to educate ourselves about food, and we have to start to replace those snacks. That's a good place to start. If we want to change our behaviors, we need to come up with good snacks, healthy snacks. So fruit is always a great snack. I always recommend fruit: apples, bananas, pears, oranges, raspberries, blueberries, the list goes on. I mean, fruit, fantastic. Have a fruit bowl available. I mean, I always had a fruit bowl for my boys. I had this big bowl and I always filled it with fruit. All right. It was always full. I just bought fruit. Every week I would go to Trader Joe's and get tons of fruit. I get everything. I go up and down the fruit aisle and I get oranges, apples, pears. I mean, always. So I always had lots of fruit. So that's a great snack. Another great snack, I get rice cakes. Okay. I get rice cakes. Now, here's the thing. I love using the Chipotle black bean dip because it's got 0 fat and it's spicy. I love spicy. All right. So I just use that a lot. That's a good one. It's really great. Now, a lot of people like their hummus. Okay. So the thing is, you can get different grades of hummus, and some hummus has a lot more fat. So you have to watch it because some of it has a lot of oil. So you have to be careful of that, be mindful of that. So there is eggplant hummus at Trader Joe's and has no oil, and it tastes really great. So there's all kinds of different things that you can do. Okay, dates, absolutely. Our dates are like candy. That's really, I'm seeing it in the chat window. Dates are like candy, absolutely. Another great snack for me, I take sweet potatoes. I learned this from Anita Fey. I take sweet potatoes, I bake it a little longer, okay? And what happens, they're so sweet. And I just eat them straight. I mean, I bake a 3-pound bag of sweet potatoes and I put them in Tupperware, put them in the refrigerator. And then when I'm hungry, I just take out a sweet potato. I just eat it up. It's really great. Dehydrated ripe bananas. Yeah, really great. Can be, and I also, here's another thing I do. You want a really great evening snack? Okay, take some ripe bananas and then break them into little chunks and put it in a container in the freezer. Okay, now you got frozen ripe bananas. All right, then you take out a little food processor, and when you want at night, you want to have something sweet, something delicious. Take these frozen bananas, put it in the food processor, take some frozen blueberries, put that in the food processor, and then take some oat milk and put a little bit in there, just enough, whip it all up, and you got what we call nice cream.
Oh my God. So good.
And it's so good. And there's zero fat, completely healthy, and zero sugar. Okay, zero fat, zero refined sugar. All right, and zero salt. I mean, it's completely healthy and it's absolutely wonderful. All right, so really great. So there's all kinds of things you can do. So you can have that. And let's see, what else we got here? Banana and ice cream is the bomb. Yes, it is. Okay, grapes and frozen bananas. Yeah, absolutely. Frozen grapes. Yep. Oh, you can do all kinds of things. All right, I'm just giving you ideas. All right, there's no shortage of ideas. I'm also going to send you in the email about 2,000 recipes to help you get started. Tina, will that be enough for you to get started? Okay, promise me you will read my email and you will check out the sites. Okay, promise me you will, because I've sent this to you before. All right, but you just haven't checked it out. Okay, very, very good. Anything else from anybody? Anybody else? Anybody else? All right, really great. We're having fun out here. That's the most important thing. We got to have fun. Just enjoy life. Have fun. You'll sleep like a baby. It'll be really great. It's awesome. Okay, anything else? Anything else? Other questions? Anything? All right, so let me finish up. Let me wrap up here. So no more questions. So let me just wrap up. Thank you. First and foremost, thank you all for being here. It is my passion to do this and to make a difference in the world. And so my request, I will reiterate it. So my request is that you share this. Please share this information. All right, my vision is that there are over 1,000 people participating in these webinars from all over the world, and people are getting healthier and they're sharing it with their friends and their family members. And we start to have this revolution of health. And it's going to be extraordinary because when we start teaching our children how to be healthy, when we start teaching our parents how to be healthy, when we start teaching ourselves how to be healthy, it's amazing how empowering that can be. It really is. My life is extraordinary today. It really is. It's so extraordinary. I want this for everyone. So please help me. Please share. Raise your hands if you're willing to share. Raise your hands if you're willing to share. Share. I want to see your hands up, Ann. All right. So very good. All right. Thank you. Okay, good. All right. So really great. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. And I'll send you the email this evening, and enjoy it and share it widely. Thank you so much. Okay. Bye. Love you all.
Thank you.
Bye.